So today we are going to start getting into imperialism. All right, kind of the U.S.'s role in imperialism in the U.S. Hey, Tyler, let's quiet down. All right, start writing. So imperialism and the Spanish-American War, kind of slept-on war, kind of a sneaky war that we were involved in that really sparked our participation in imperialism in the world. Okay? So, there it is. So, let's get going. All right. So, these are the most basic, there's a couple in here, basic reasons we got involved in imperialism. Okay? You've got economics and religion. All right? When it comes to money, the economy, it provides stability. It helps fend off depressions, expands markets. Okay? So we just got out in early 1890s, we just got out of a depression. All right? It ruined a lot of things for the United States. Alex, do you need that laptop open right now? You don't. Close it all the way. Thank you. So, we got out of a depression immediately before this. Did not treat us well. Okay, it was a real pain. All right, expanding markets. All right, we're going to get into the whole idea of the frontier. We're kind of running out of stuff to buy and sell. All right, we want more. All right, we want to grow. We want to expand our money-making capabilities. All right, and that's going to help those big businesses. Remember, those big businesses, they need resources. They need things to develop into a sellable product. All right, and then religion, we got to remember, this is kind of the turn of the 19th century. All right, 19th into 20th. So there's a lot of kind of religious involvement in the government still. All right, kind of this desire to spread Christianity as what they believe was the right way to live. All right? Any questions there before we keep going? Very good. All right. So we're going to break these down a little more in detail. These are some reasons why we felt we should become an empire as the United States, but why we should be imperialists. Okay? You've got manifest destiny, which I believe you may have covered kind of in the past in some of your history classes. The Monroe Doctrine, which we'll definitely dive into a little bit more. The frontier theory, that's something I'd like us to focus on today. And the theory that naval power is kind of the way to go when it comes to building an empire. Okay? So let's dive in first to manifest destiny. All right, so this is the belief that the United States had a God-given right. I'm going to do a little red there. God-given right to expand its borders. All right? This is where that religion part comes in. All right? Leaders in the United States at this time believed that it was their kind of religious duty to expand the ideas of the United States, to expand our sphere of influence, our areas of control. Okay? That's what manifest destiny means. It's our God-given kind of right/responsibility to expand into the world. Okay? Any questions there? All right, we're going to dive into those concepts in there a little bit, some more in a second. Just remember, when you see manifest destiny, has to do with our God-given right to expand those American ideals to the rest of the world. Okay? All right. On to our next one. I'm going to erase that. So, the Monroe Doctrine. Back in 1823, we had President Monroe. Okay, James Monroe. And this deal was essentially that European nations will not interfere with us and what we're doing in the world as long as we do not interfere with European affairs. All right? Kind of a you leave us alone and we'll leave you alone. Okay? Europe at this time was all over the world. All right? They had a lot going on. All right? They were way ahead of us when it came to building an empire. Okay? So that was also, look at this number here, 1823. That's a while ago. Okay? That's way before a lot of the kind of progressivism, populism stuff we just talked about. It's way before we really had the capability to expand a lot. All right? We had just kind of gotten that Louisiana Purchase. We were still kind of figuring out how to deal with it. It's kind of an area where we're still a little unstable to be building a strong empire. All right? As time went on, we did kind of gain the capability to do that. Okay? All right. So, this one's very, very important. The frontier theory, the Turner frontier theory. Okay? Frederick Turner was kind of the one who pioneered this idea. Okay? This idea of the frontier. Okay? The frontier, and the way he's talking about it, means kind of the edge of civilized land. I'll put civilized in quotes here, all right? So, when you think of a frontier, you probably, a picture comes to mind of kind of like a pioneer or a cowboy type figure, kind of on the edge of society where there's not really big cities around. There's a lot of kind of wilderness still out there. It's kind of unexplored areas, stuff like that. To a degree, that's right. But I want us to focus on this civilized word. Okay? Their idea of what is civilized kind of just means American, all right? It's American. To a more extent, it's white, okay? They want to expand their idea of it, like kind of an idealized America beyond this frontier, all right? Frontier is just the edge, all right? Back when we had 13 states, where do you think our frontier was? So think of those original 13 states. Right along kind of the eastern seaboard. Where do you think we kind of called it as a country at that point? A specific region. Kind of think right around there. Luke?
The Appalachian Mountains.
Perfect. It's the Appalachian Mountains. All right? I call that Appalachia. Or Appalachian. Okay, the Appalachian Mountains kind of go up from debatably like the top of Pennsylvania down through into Tennessee and North Carolina. Okay? Kind of just a line of, used to be huge mountains. Now they're mountains, but more so just really hilly, large, forested area. Okay? Back then, we did not cross that area. All right? Yeah?
Big and small.
Yeah, that's like a prehistoric thing. They eroded.
Oh.
All right.
I thought you meant like back in like 1982 they were really big.
Back then, they were kind of just like they are now.
Oh.
All right? But it was the wilderness. Okay? You don't cross into that area. All right? You stick to the coast. That's where civilization is. All right? You don't stray away from there. All right? Then the Louisiana Purchase happens. And we almost quadrupled in size. So pretty much overnight, we went from just kind of having that little coastal region, kind of a small, insignificant trading country, to being larger than any country in Europe, outside of maybe Russia. Okay? So, We grew substantially. Our frontier expanded, okay, tremendously. All right, and now that we have all that land, kind of think of those areas that were included in that Louisiana Purchase. What do you think our new frontier is? Kind of another kind of defining geographical feature in the United States. Definitely heard of it before. What do you think it is? They're not mountains, I'll tell you that.
So like the deserts or like
We're not quite that far yet. We're getting there though.
the plains?
Think more in like the middle of the country. Middle to like middle to east of our country. Yep. Perfect. It's the Mississippi River.
Oh.
Mississippi River. All right. That was our new frontier. All right. Kind of a big expansion to make in such little time. All right. That's why even within that new area, we still didn't have a lot of stuff quite set up for ourselves yet. All right. But we were getting there. All right. Also, I'd like to remind you guys, please, please, please take notes on this today, and as we work through it tomorrow and so forth. Next week, we are going to have another kind of cartoon analysis assignment that's going to be graded. You're going to be able to use these notes. Okay? So make sure you get all this information down. It'll help you tremendously, I promise. Okay? So, picking up, we have an idea of this frontier idea. Okay? It's kind of the edge of civilization. Armando, put the phone away right now in the backpack. Zip it up. Thank you. So, remember, when we had 13 states, kind of back when we were new, Appalachian Mountains, that was our frontier. All right? We developed a little more, acquired a ton of land. Okay? Now it's the Mississippi River. Think about everything west of the Mississippi. All right? You've got the deserts, like Armando was talking about. You've got a lot of mountainous areas. All right? We're still kind of working our way there. Okay? Any questions before we move on? All right. We're doing great so far. Again, I promise we will get into all the war stuff soon. It's just kind of a nice little basis on how we were thinking. Okay? So, this is just highlighting. We believed, kind of in line with that whole manifest destiny idea, where it's our God-given right to expand and kind of control and influence new areas. We believed transforming the uncivilized into civilized will make America great. And for a while, it kind of did. All right? Our idea of great. By great, mostly means the potential to make a lot of money, and influence. Okay? So, when they say uncivilized, it doesn't mean it's just like a moonscape, deserted area. All right? The whole country had Native Americans living in it. All right? But they were considered by us to be just uncivilized, kind of just living out in the country, uncivilized people. All right? And it was our duty as Americans to civilize them, incorporate them into American society, and expand our borders. It's not imperialism, it's civilizing. It is imperialism. Okay? So, people believed that this frontier area was very positive. All right? You're living out in the frontier, you're getting tough. Okay? You're not some big city, living easy, rich guy. You're out on the frontier. You're going to be independent. You're going to have to kind of gather resources for yourself. Okay? Think like a Bear Grylls, like survivor type guy. Okay? You're able to live off the land. All right? Something that's kind of been a theme throughout our expansion is groups of people who are very well suited and good at kind of adapting to their situations. Okay? So the frontier was positive because it allowed cultures like that to form within American society. All right? Instead of kind of just Americans being these rich city folk who industrialize and kind of ruin things, now we've got people learning to live out on their own, kind of trying to make something for themselves. All right? A real American spirit type thing. Okay? Any questions there before moving on? Make sure we're on the right track here. All right. All right, these next couple slides are going to be a little information heavy, but I will break them down the best I can. All right? And again, any questions at all, please ask, because I want to get you guys everything you can possibly have to prepare for next week. Okay? Hey, Jaden. Please try to keep your head up, okay? All right. Now we're moving on to the naval power theory. Like I mentioned a little bit before, Europe had gotten pretty good at the whole building an empire thing. All right? You ever heard the expression, the sun never sets on the British Empire? All right, that's because if you look at a world map around this era, kind of the peak of the British Empire, it's everywhere. All right? They have possessions in the Caribbean. They controlled huge areas in Africa, huge areas in kind of Asia, Pacific. They were everywhere. Okay? And they had tons and tons of money and power and influence. All right? And other countries would see that and say, we want to be like them. They're doing great. All right? We want that. All right? So, Mahan, who is a captain in the U.S. Navy, the U.S. Navy at the time was there. We had one for a while, but it was nowhere near kind of the capabilities of some of these big empires. All right? All these big empires, France, even Russia at one point, Britain, had extremely powerful navies. All right, and you got to think back then, how do you get around? All right, you want to cross an ocean, you can't just build a little boat, put some troops on it, and go somewhere and say, this is our colony now. You need to be able to project power over the ocean. All right, you need to be able to cross a huge area and set up a base of power somewhere. Can't do that without a strong navy. That was Mahan's naval power theory. Okay? Large navies are needed to control colonies overseas, to control commerce, trade. All right? Large navies are also great deterrents. Who can tell me? Come on. Who can tell me what deterrent means? Commando? Perfect. It's to prevent something. To prevent. All right? Again, this is going to come up again probably later on around the Cold War. All right? Deterrents have been kind of a recurring thing around history. If you've got a big, powerful weapon, whether it's a navy, a nuclear missile, something like that, no one's going to want to mess with you. No one's going to try to attack you because they know that when you respond, it'll be devastating. Okay? So building a large navy is great because you can kind of just throw your power around. Okay? And people will be too kind of scared to do anything about it. All right? That's what a deterrent does. It makes the nation also more prestigious. All right? People are looking at the USA before all this, saying, oh, they're a new country. I don't give them too much time. All right? They're just really agricultural. Sure, they got a lot of land. They don't know what to do with it. We should maybe take them over at some point. That'd be nice. But now we got to build a large navy, and no one's going to want to mess with us. All right? So remember, Mahan's theory, build a large navy because you need it to establish and control colonies. You need it to build an empire. All right? So, we've gone over all those reasons why they want to build an empire. All right? Manifest destiny. Okay? So it's our God-given right. We need to build a navy. It's going to help us out. Okay? The Monroe Doctrine. All right? Europe's not going to really get involved with us. Okay? You also had a pretty organized effort to prevent any imperialism. Let me zoom in a little bit here. There we go. Okay. So, who remembers who the populist candidate for president was? Anya?
William Jennings.
Perfect. It was William Jennings Bryan. William Jennings Bryan was an outspoken anti-imperialist, okay? And kind of for these reasons below, okay? He felt, or the whole league felt, that cheap overseas labor, which we would acquire through imperialism, would hurt American workers. Remember, big populist thing, they want to help the American worker, all right? They want to get them back on their feet. They're going to make an honest wage. They're going to do well, all right? You start bringing in labor from overseas, having people overseas do your labor, you're going to lose money, all right? They can do it for a lot cheaper. No one's going to want to hire someone who wants a higher wage, all right? It also endangered the country's democratic institution, all right? A large military could overthrow the government. All right? This is a legitimate fear. This happens in countries around the world relatively often. Alex, let's pick the head up, all right? Hadi, come on. Stay up for just a few more minutes, okay? So, a large military, if your military is really powerful and your government isn't really as capable as to reel it in, the military can overthrow the government. All right? Several years ago, 2016, in the country of Turkey, this almost happened. All right? Someone who didn't like the president was involved in the military, got the military on his side, locked the president in their equivalent of the White House, and almost took over Turkey. All right? It fell apart in the end because the military decided that they no longer wanted to support that guy. All right? That guy now lives in Virginia. He had to leave Turkey. But keep in mind, they were scared of building that large navy. Okay? Very scared because they thought if we beef up the military too much, they're going to kick out whoever's in charge. We'll become a military-based country. They didn't want that. All right? These guys did not want that. All right? And then it starts getting really, really racial. Okay? Race is a huge part of this whole imperialism game for the United States. All right? Back then, remember, we've got thousands and thousands of immigrants coming almost daily. All right? People didn't really love that immigration was happening at this high of a rate. Okay? It was not everyone's favorite thing in the world. And people got really racist about it. Okay? People thought that if we start to just expand our borders, start to take over areas, it's going to increase immigration, which is going to stress a system that's already almost broken. Okay? They did not want immigration to get any more powerful than it already is. Okay? And they felt making an empire out of the United States would just make that situation worse. Okay? There was a whole thing about white people in America, so the people kind of in charge at this point in time, wanted to make an empire just to kind of show that they were better than other races in the world. Okay? They wanted to take land in Asia because they felt that Asians were kind of incapable of doing anything above kind of hard labor type jobs. Okay? We'll take over Africa because there were still horrible sentiments toward African Americans at the time. We wanted to take property down in Latin America. Okay? We wanted to take huge swaths of land, probably near like Mexico, stuff like that. All right? Really just based in racism. And that's why these anti-imperialists were also against forming a U.S. empire. All right? So we're going to move on to the next one. Any questions about this Anti-Imperialism League? Got a few more. All right. So, a couple, yeah. Put pass in? All right, yeah. Just be really quick, okay? So, this is another thing that kind of gets brushed under the rug when you're building an empire, okay? It's really expensive. Really, really expensive to expand power like that, especially back then. Who can tell me, just think of the time period, all right? Think of how we could get around long distance. Think of just the size of things, etc. Who can tell me why they think it might be expensive to build an empire back then? Armando?
Because they probably had to use a lot of oil.
Lots of oil, lots of resources in general. What else? There's a couple more things that would make kind of empire building a very expensive task. There's a couple I'm looking for. All right, one in particular. Oh, yeah.
Like how to transport stuff.
Yeah, shipping. Shipping's crazy expensive. All right, you need to get across an ocean with enough people and enough stuff to at least attempt to take over an area of land and control it. All right? That's a lot, especially back then. Okay? It's a lot of work. It's a lot of processes involved. It's not easy. All right? One that I think is very important also, military buildup. All right? We see that military budget in the U.S. today kind of go up and down and hover generally around the $800 or $900 billion mark. Okay? It is an insane amount of money. It was still expensive back then. Yeah?
Is that per year or just like?
That's our budget per year. Yep. It's crazy. All right? And most signs point to that budget just going up. All right? The military, for all intents and purposes, has kind of a blank check if it really wants to get something done. Okay? So, military buildup, very expensive, very necessary to establish a presence, to establish a colony overseas. Okay? And again, back to immigration, kind of. We already have enough problems in the U.S. We have enough crap going on with populism, where the farmers have trouble making it by, all right? Progressivism, we have problems in the cities that are just almost seemingly impossible to deal with at times, all right? Do we really need to take over a new area, probably have to fight to control it, and then when we have it, bring on all the problems that new area brings? Do we really need that right now, or should we focus on what we have already? All right? Definite arguments to be made against imperialism. All right? We already had a ton of new land. All right? Let's take a look at this before we go any further. All right? But by the time we expanded to our next frontier after the Mississippi, which was, can anyone tell me where that is? relatively easy one. Armando.
And then it's
The desert is part of it. Looking for a specific word, specific place.
Wild West.
Huh?
Wild West.
Close. It is definitely part of the Wild West.
Is it a mountain?
No. You know, raised hand. Let's see who just want to try. Our next frontier after Mississippi. Didn't take us too long. I think way out west. I'll give this one a shot. That's all right. It's California.
Oh, I didn't say the
We made it to the ocean. All right, for a while, that's where we kind of called it. Okay, we made it to California, just saw the ocean. We're like, okay, what do we do now? All right, for a while, we could kind of turn around and go to some of the areas maybe that we hadn't really looked into very much, but the frontier is going to start disappearing at that point. That's, in the eyes of many Americans at this time, that's not a good thing. All right? You keep developing and building on and building on and building on. There's going to be no more of that frontier spirit, that independent, live off the land type thing that they felt was so integral to American values. Okay? They need more. They want more. Okay? These people did not. All right? They felt expanding beyond what we already have, it's going to cause problems. It's going to make things even worse. Okay? Everyone got our last frontier before kind of expanding beyond our current borders was California. All right? We definitely did go beyond that, though. All right. So, all right, cool. The public opinion. So kind of what just the general people thought. Many were in favor of imperialism. And just a little disclaimer, when you see expansionism, it's the same thing as imperialism. All right? Just keep them together. They're the same. Okay? Adi and Ali. We're almost done. Okay? So, they did not, if you're just a normal person and you hear about all these potentially good things that imperialism could bring, you don't view America as the oppressor, all right? The news has been in your ear at this point in time telling you how we need to civilize these parts of the world. Civilization is good, all right? All of these people outside of our little borders, they're uncivilized. They don't know how the world works, all right? We need to civilize them. It's our duty to do that, all right? There's a key term here. And again, it has not aged tremendously well. The white man's burden. All right? This is the idea that it is white people's duty to civilize other parts of the world. Okay, this comes into play quite a bit in this period of time. Okay? It's kind of based in this idea that we're not the oppressors, we're helping you. All right? We're changing the world for the better by taking over giant areas of land and making it ours. All right? It's a good thing to have new trade relations around the world, new markets, new stuff to have from all over the place for cheap. Okay? It's something we should do, according to the public. All right? The public kind of likes this idea of imperialism. All right? Has the potential to make things a little bit better. All right? Any questions here? Before we keep going, we got, I think, one more little section to cover, and we're good. All right? Sweet. Okay. Zoom out just a little bit. There we go. So, some more reasons people kind of wanted imperialism. That whole idea where if we make the military too important, too powerful, that they're going to take over, people weren't really scared of that. All right? A lot of people thought if we have a powerful military, we're going to be safe. We're going to be in good hands for the future. All right? Not really 100% true all the time. All right? Too much military influence can become dangerous. Okay? People back then were not worried about it. All right? And then we also weren't really worried about a potential increase in taxes. All right? Like we covered. Empire building, it's about as expensive as it gets at this point in time. All right? So many parts of it cost so much money. All right? That it would eventually, almost inevitably, result in some kind of debt for the country or some kind of new tax that we'd have to pay. People do not want that. Okay? But there's benefits. All right? Stuff's going to be cheaper. We're going to have a lot more of it. Okay? All right? I'll pay a little tax if it means I'm going to have cheaper groceries every once in a while. I'll pay a new tax if it means I can build a house for 3/4 the price I would normally be paying. Not a terrible deal. Okay? People were kind of into it. They were kind of into imperialism. All right? Open to the idea at the very least. Okay? So, these next two slides, put a star next to them. A nice big gold star. Okay? These are going to help you with that packet you've got. All right, that's your assignment, all right? This packet's going to kind of cover our entrance into the Spanish-American War, our first big war outside of the Revolutionary one, the War of 1812, against a big, powerful empire somewhere in the world. Spanish Empire. Okay? Spanish Empire, kind of not really in its heyday at this point, but at one point in time was the power in the world. All right? Controlled continent-sized areas everywhere. Okay? So, those two slides, Spanish-American War origins, and the one right after it, it's a little shorter, those will help you with that packet. All right? Do we have any questions before we keep going? We're done with the notes for today. Get the rest of the hour to work on that packet, okay? And again, if you have any questions about it, I'm happy to come around and help you out. All right? In the back, you'll see there's 6 questions that kind of are based on that reading. But again, that reading and those 2 slides shouldn't have a problem, okay? All right, yeah, what's up? Did you put a pass in? Go for it.